Hey guys, this is LITSURE and we make sure your success in English literature. Today we will deal with the topic called the Imagist poets because this area is more important from the perspective of UGC Net English. Some subtle questions have already been asked from this particular area, so today we are unlocking that mystery that is hidden in this particular area. So let's analyze the area called the Imagist poets. First of all, let's look at what actually Imagism is. It was an early 20th century poetic movement that emphasized clear, direct language. Also, it was considered as a reaction to the traditions of Romantic and Victorian poetry. Also, it was perceived as a reaction against Georgian trend. The common features of Georgian poetry, like Romanticism, sentimentality, and hedonism, etc., were all banished in the Imagist poetry. So, in other words, it was the Imagist poetry or the poets used a different mode of technique in this poetic composition, and they completely ignored all these kinds of romantic sentimentality and hedonistic features from their compositions. When we consider the basic motif behind Imagist poets, their aim was to represent real life in images that were clear, precise, and exact. So, in other words, converting or juxtaposing the reality of life through clear cut images. Also, it is this movement is described as the most influential movement in English poetry because it exerted greater literary effects and influences to the entire world of English literature. And as far as the founder of this school was considered, it was none other than T.E. Hume. Moreover, Images used the medium of free verse to compose these literary works, and the major Imagist poets are, first of all, Ezra Pound, then Ford Madox Ford, then William Carlos Williams, F.S. Flint, and finally T.E. Hume. Now let's analyze what are the basic characteristic features of Imagist poetry. First of all, the feature called the poet must simply present an image. That means the poet needs to avoid exuberant and exhaustive narrative method. Secondly, the poet does not comment. That means poetry is simply not a commentary, it must be sharp and crystallized with reality. And thirdly, the poet should use the words necessary to paint the image and not to fit some types of rhythmic patterns. That means the words chosen by the poet must not an adjective strategy to cope up with the metrical attributions of that literary work. The perfect example is the poem In a Station on the Metro by Ezra Pound, in which the lines appears as the apparition of the wet faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough. It is very much clear from the image's perspective that this poem does not instruct, it does not force the reader to conjure up some moral lessons. It sounds just like ordinary language. This is imagism, and it is really copying the essence of the reality and bringing back to the readers. So, in this video, by concluding that, we have only discussed what is actually meant by the Imagist movement and who are the important contributors to this field, and finally we have analyzed the basic characteristic features of the specialized area called the Imagism. So Also, adding one more thing, that if you feel it is useful, then you have got an opportunity to join our net English coaching classes. For more joining details, please contact on WhatsApp number, that is 7306 639107. So it's bye from LITSURE Academy. Thank you.